Okay, guys, I've got to get this off my chest because this is just driving me absolutely crazy. I'm sorry that I'm doing this on a cell phone mic and all that stuff. I'm usually like way more sophisticated than what I'm doing right now, but I got some shit to get off my chest. You guys could kind of already tell from the episode title that we're going to be talking about WoW, specifically WoW Shadowlands, and the fact that I am just pissed. Blizzard, what the fuck are you thinking when it comes to this Anima grind? I honestly have no idea where you're sitting on it. And let me give some perspective before I go too deep, okay? A lot of people know my love for WoW Legion, okay? Legion was, in my opinion, a very well done overall expansion. Did it have issues? Absolutely it did. I personally kind of agree with the opinion, or the generalized opinion, that like the artifact power grind probably was too hard. It was too sluggish. Although I will say, compared to arguments that I'm going to make right now, it wasn't that bad. I'd rather have that back right now. But I'm willing enough to acknowledge that Legion had flaws, is basically what I'm trying to say here, people. But what Blizzard is doing right now in Shadowlands is just, it's inferior as far as I'm concerned. But like I said, Legion was basically kind of the testing model. So like Shadowlands has been basically, it's supposed to be like the overall what we've learned concept when it came to order halls from Legion. Specifically like the artifact power grind played into that, as well as order resources. What they did in Legion was they basically made artifact power your end game to be able to work on your artifact weapon and being able to get in relics to be able to increase the power of your set artifact, and being able to give like really snazzy talents. Okay, that's fine. They even had the mission table. I will argue that that's probably the best that the mission table has ever looked. It had missions that just had a lot of gold instead of Warlords' model, where they just had a lot of missions with just a small amount of gold that were easy enough to complete, and that's why a lot of people just, were able to hoard gold in Warlords. In this one, they gave like bigger gold requirements, and also the other thing that was really helpful was I don't think a mission went above 4 hours. Whereas some things in Warlords could be like 1 to 2. So like the minimum you had was 4 hours. So that way you could go out and you could do some questing and it wouldn't have mattered, but it doesn't even matter here, because like the Legion order hall was integrated into the overall campaign. I need to stop doing Shadowlands, so I want to try and explain this. Overall, really well done. The mission table worked. The artifact power, even though it was a bit of a grind, it was doable. Okay, and you didn't necessarily, like, you might have had to favor it a couple of things. Like in Legion, I want to say those who did mythic dungeons, those who did dungeons and raids, they were fine. But once you stopped doing that, you kind of started to notice the crawl. But if you were doing those, you were fine. Battle for Azerite was the artifact power grind, and it was starting to get bad. And even I'll acknowledge it, but they at least had kind of good fixes for it. You still could get Azerite via world quests and things like that, but you also had islands, which were basically Azerite collection. And later on in the expansion, they found a way to be able to do that and make additional rewards. For example, there were Azerite powers that were tied to the islands that actually were just kind of a generalized stat increase, so it was kind of in demand if you were doing horrific visions and things like that. I am thoroughly convinced, though, and this has been one of the major problems that I think has happened. I can't necessarily speak on this with Legion because I wasn't in the beta long enough for Legion to be able to test this. But from what I can tell from friends who did, the order hall got tested. BFA, it wasn't really tested, and there wasn't really an order hall per se in Battle for Azeroth. You had talent. You had like a talent tree for your for your war campaign, much like you had talent trees for your order hall. But I can't really think of anything else that was that was Order Hall-esque. Well, I mean, you had the mission table, and significantly less followers and kind of dumb missions overall, and the only ones that you ended up completing were the ones that were required. So, just trying to explain to you, okay, things got a little bit worse in Battle for Azeroth, but you didn't really have an Order Hall there. Let's get into Sanctums in Shadowlands, shall we? Because I'm thoroughly convinced that where Legion Order Halls were tested, and I know for a fact Sanctums were not. And it's absolutely upsetting that they were not tested. And now I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt why, and I'm going to try and give you guys a couple of fixes in the meantime too. One is the renown system. Okay, this is actually kind of a cool idea in perspective. Like, it was a lot better than the Legion talent tree for the Order Halls. Because basically the way that worked, guys, was it was a really small talent tree where you had like 2 choices for like three rungs of it. Sorry, I need to take a drink, but you had like 2 choices and then you could move on. And you could even change the choices and you'd still have to pay the same amount. And the way it would work is you paid order resources. You had to wait, I think, 24 hours in some cases. The final talent took 48, and that was the way it went. Renown is supposed to be able to be collected up to level 40, to Renown level 40, has various rewards that happen throughout. One thing that they actually did that I do like is that you could upgrade item level as you went along that line. But then they also have some really dumb decisions or dumb upgrades that are made with that. Specifically, I know that pets and mounts are going to be a thing, so I'm not going to rule those out. Like, people do actually see value in those. We got adventurers for the mission table, and that's fine. I have no issues with that. We even got like a generic stamina buff, which I'm okay with. But then you had my biggest complaint here is the level 40 renown talent that you get, and that is you get a title. So, like, for example, I'm Night Fae on my druid, so I get the title Winter's Envoy. The fuck? That's never made sense to me, Blizzard. Why are you giving a menial title? That should be something that you give at the end of the Covenant campaign, not at the end of a long renown grind, which is what you wanted this to be for the first character, and then you wanted it to be easier for alts. Okay, but a title's not really all that worth it unless you're a title collector. So at that point, I'm even going to give you a better idea of what should have been done there, because it should have been something along the lines of the Order Hall. So already that's kind of a mess, because renown is hard to come by, and I'm going to give them a pass here because I get why it's supposed to be harder, and with the alt grind, it gets a little bit easier. Okay, second thing that they really didn't think about. So you have 4 major structures in the Sanctum that are integral to it. So you have an Anima conductor, which basically sends Anima out to areas of your Covenant's area. So if you're Kyrian, it's Bastion. Okay, so you send out the Anima, and then if you power it up enough, then you unlock more daily quests. I think even like a weekly quest if you get to the higher tiers. Basically more rewards can come out of that for you. You also get, it's different for each Covenant the way that it's stated, but it's basically like internal teleportation for that area. So you'd be able to get access to Covenant only ways to transport yourself around, we'll use the same example here, Bastion. So you'd be able to get around quicker to be able to do your world quests easier. Okay, that's number 2, and I already have a beef with that. Third is the mission table, and at least the mission table kind of makes sense. Like, you have adventurers now that, if you take your crews out on adventures, and they actually have health pools, and they need to be able to survive. If they don't, you don't get rewards. You get like a bare minimum XP. And then you also, but if you win, you get the rewards and also experience, depending on if a character's alive or dead. I think if they're dead, they get a minimum, but like if it's a bonus XP, then they get the full amount if they're alive. Okay, so that's the third one. And then the fourth is individualized for each Covenant. And I don't know all of them, or at least all of them by name. I believe it's the Path of Ascension for the Kyrian. which is just kind of a gladiatorial arena. You have the Ember Court, which is basically just vampire parties. Okay, that's, whatever. For Maldraxxus, you have the Abomination Stitching, so you can make your own Abomination Companion that can heal you, tank you, DPS for you, or even you can get a bigger one that you can mount on. Okay? And then Nightveil, for me, which in my opinion is the most useful, is the Queen's Observatory. So what you basically can do is you can be able to... It's like the garden in Mists of Pandaria. You can plant wild seeds, and then at that point you will get rewards from them. And for me, it's really helpful because I can gain a crafting advantage from it. Because I can put in specific spirits, and then I can actually get... more cooking materials for my cook, or I can get additional mining materials for my blacksmith or my jewel crafter kind of thing. So like, it's, to me, it is the most useful. If I could, I'd make all my alts Nightveil, because then at that point I'd have multiple gardens doing multiple things, and I'd have an absurd amount of resources. So you have those structures, and I don't think, like, the way that you kind of build these up, because I have 4 ranks, you build them up by gathering Anima. And the requirements for each one of these buildings is absurd. I mean, rank 1 is not that bad. It's 1,000 Anima, which if you pull your resources, like, you can do that easy. But then, I'm doing this off of memory, but like rank 2 and 3 are both 5,000 Anima for each one. And at most, guys, at most, you can get in a week about, or like, if you do every Anima quest in a day, I think that people have tabulated it to be about 800. Okay, or not even that, like 600 to 800. I think would be a much more optimistic guess. And 1,000 if, say, it's like a fresh Tuesday and you have a raid boss, and maybe you have a calling that gives an additional 250 Anima. Okay, then it can go above 1,000, but that's for that one day. And in a lot of cases, like average players, they're not getting 600 to 800 Anima a day. They're like me, and they're getting maybe about 200 to 300 Anima a day. Okay? And it's ridiculous. The amount of Anima that is distributed amongst the world quests is piddling right now compared to those requirements. At minimum, you can get 35 Anima. No, I'm not kidding. 35 fucking Anima for a dumb little quest of Flappy Bird or something like that. And then maybe you can get 70 on some of those menial quests, and the most that you get on a regular world quest for green quality Anima is 140. Okay? And it's just not enough, all right? Especially if you're trying to do these things daily, and you're trying to help, like, and then you're also trying to do other efforts like Mythic Plus, getting ready for your raids, etc., etc. It just doesn't work out for that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you could just do it hardcore form. Motherfucker, how much time in the day do you think you fucking have? Okay? I have 2 kids to raise. I have jobs to go work. I have things to edit. I don't have that much time in a day to be able to do much less of what I do. So basically what you're saying is that everybody has to sit there for 12 fucking hours and work on every single fucking world quest because they decided to not put in any easy world quests like targets because those were too easy, heaven forbid. Do you see my problem? It is a piddling amount of Anima. And it's ridiculous that this is how the Sanctums were done. I at least can say the adventuring system and the renown system are somewhat presentable. Also, I can say that the conduit soulbind system is somewhat presentable, although I have some beefs with the abilities you picked for that one. Jiminy fucking Christmas, Blizzard. Some of those are just fucking lame. Absolutely lame. I just barely saw one that basically is just a speed increase for every shapeshift that I can do. I already have like 2 or 3 other abilities that do that. Why do I want to buff that? It's already fine. I'm literally convinced, Blizzard, you did not do any testing when it came to the Sanctum. You were just interested in giving everybody all the Anima that they needed in the beta to be able to unlock everything so that they could then test the adventure system and maybe the renown system for you. I don't even think the renown system got tested, because at that point I think you would have gotten some complaints about some of the rewards, specifically like the fact that the item level increases are kind of really split that far, very far apart between the ranks, and also the level 41 just being a fucking title. Really? That should be something at the end of a fucking Covenant campaign. And no, I actually got better rewards out of the Covenant campaign because I got a piece of gear and I got some gold, and you should have just added in the title for good measure. And no, you didn't. You instead made it a level 40. That doesn't inspire me to go and hit. I remember seeing that the first time and going, that's really dumb. Why would I want a title? You know, if you'd given me a perk to Torghast or something like that, then I might have been fine. And that's another thing that's funny, is I believe in the renowned tree, for the ones that I've seen, is that there's a generic memory for crafting legendaries in there as one of the renown ranks. Okay, well, that would have been better than a fucking title. And I'm not knocking people who do the title grind. I get why you do it and it's fun for you. But there are a lot of people who don't do the title grind and would have preferred to see something else. And even in some cases, like they actually pair rewards coming out of the renowned tree that makes sense. Like if you get an increase in item level, then you would also get like a companion for the adventures. And that works for everybody all around. Why couldn't they have just done something better, like something bigger for level 40? In fact, I'm going to give you the perfect example here because of how piddling the Anima grind is. Okay, at the end of a Legion Order Hall talent tree was an ability. I can never remember what it was called across all of them, and I don't even think I saw all of them. But it basically was a double of whatever artifact power you're going to get from that world quest or from that reward. And that was helpful for a lot of people, especially non-raiders who were trying to be able to max out their artifact weapon, but maybe didn't have time in the week to go and do a raid, which was the best way to be able to, or the way to get the most out of it, or the most artifact power, if you had already done something like Suramar, which was another really great way to be able to pile up rewards. So my suggestion to you, Blizzard, is you strongly consider as a level 40, if you want to still have the title, fine, be my guest, okay? But add in a second one that doubles or at least increases the quality of rank of Anima that you are getting out there. Like if you are not 40, it makes sense to be able to get green quality Anima, okay? Which is just like 5, the way that it works, guys, is like there's, if you want to be able to get like green quality is, I think, up to 50 Anima, and most of the time it's like 10, 15. I think the most it gets is 35. Then you could have blue quality, which might be like 75 to 100. It's something like that. Again, I'm doing this off the top of my head. And then you have epic quality, which is like 250 Anima. But there's very few things that give you 250. Okay? What I'm saying is that you could increase the rank. Okay, greens give blues. So at that point, everything is guaranteed over 100 Anima, which is fine, because then at that point, we can do what we want to do, and we still have time in the day to be able to, you know, live life, for fuck's sake. Then the blue qualities can go up to epic, which is entirely fine. 250 Anima is not really hurting the process if you don't want to reduce the cost of the buildings. If you want to do that, fine. I understand that, but we need to be able to get the higher quality Anima at this point. And am I saying that the epics should go up to legendary? No, I'm just saying that they need to reward more. For example, so you get 2 weekly quests that happen each time. One is to acquire 1,000 Anima. This is one of the reasons why the piddling Anima grind is so stupid. And then also, you have to go into the maw and you have to rescue a certain amount of souls, and it changes as you go along. For me, it's 20. That's the cap. And for that, it's actually worthwhile to do because it gives you 500 Anima. So half of your Anima gathering requirements for the other quest. And then at that point, that quest becomes stupidly easy because now all you have to do is a world boss and maybe a couple of world quests. And that's it. Like, that was actually a good decision on your part, Blizzard, that you implement. I think that was the 905 implementation. That was actually a good idea. Why can't we get more stuff like that? Why can't we get more stuff like that so it's not as piddling? That's why I'm saying, give us an increase in rank so that we can be able to do just that. We can increase the amount of anima that we are getting, and we still get the rewards out of it. Because obviously you're not getting too much anima out of dungeons, and I've heard raiding is okay, but it's not great either for anima. So at that point, you could at least increase the rank, and that way people can afford their freaking structures. I think it's absolutely stupid that I am level 40 renown, and I'm still working off of level 1 buildings in a lot of cases. I mean, maybe my druid, who's my main, is sitting at like 3 rank 2s, but I should be maxed fucking out by now. And it's because of this piddling little anima grind that's exactly why I'm not maxed out. What the fuck? Okay, so improvement number 2, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people saw coming. Reduce the cost of the buildings! Either increase the amount of anima that you're getting or reduce the cost of the overall buildings so that everybody can get the benefits that you're screaming we're all gonna love if we had access to the full rank building. Okay? Then reduce the ranks. So like I said, it's 1,000, then 2 5,000s, and then I think a big 10,000 for the 3 general ones. But then you have the special structure, which for me is the Queen's Observatory is what it's called. You have 5 ranks, and so you have 1,000, and I think it's like 2 5,000s, 2 10,000s, and then a 15,000. That would take forever. So reduce the cost. In fact, I'm going to say right here and now, you should do both. You should increase the amount of anima that people are getting, and you should also reduce the cost of the buildings, so that at least we can feel like, okay, we've done this. We can now focus on our alts, which was supposed to be an alt-friendly expansion, might I add, and you haven't been able to pull that off. I don't care what anybody says on the matter, because Threads of Fate isn't as great as you made it out to be, Blaze. But you could reduce the cost of the buildings, you could increase the amount of anima, and then people would feel a little bit more overpowered in this regard in the end game. And at that point, they could go and, in an alt-friendly expansion, go work on their fucking alts. Jiminy Christmas. And the other problem that I have, too, is the ranks for the table, where it just increases the amount of healing that happens. So, like, when your adventurers are on off time, they actually get healed over time to be able to get their full HP, basically, or you could pay a buttload of anima to heal them all, and then that way you can go and do a bunch of that stuff. The table needs work as far as I'm concerned. Seriously, what is your problem with the table? The only anima missions that I am seeing here is 10 anima, and you get like 5. So it's 50 anima. It's not worth it to put resources there, especially when you give me caches of profession stuff. Basically what I'm trying to do is I don't want to spend time in the auction house. So I go and get the profession stuff, and that's great. And I saw you guys kind of aiming that way in Battle for Azeroth, and that's fine. I don't really have an issue with that. But piddling anima, you get more gold, in my opinion, than you get anima, and that seems really weird considering that Blizz never liked the idea of huge amounts of gold on the table. And you also get additional rewards like pets. You have a campaign that you need to keep track of, and the big weekly reward, which gives Soul Ash for legendary crafting, and Stygia, which you need for sockets for gear, and also increasing your conduits to the highest level if you're not raiding. And I've even heard that some conduits don't even do that. Like, you can't get a drop in Nathria right now for it. So at that point, it's like, okay, well, that's fucking worthless. It feels like you could have at least with the Stygia rewards, I can say, okay, you at least have Torghast rewards in there that help out. Like, you get additional choices, you get access to even more anima powers. Like, that's worthwhile. But, anyway, back onto the table. Yeah, so you have that awesome reward, and I like that. You also have gear rewards. That's helpful, especially for somebody who, can't go out and do dungeons and raid. And so they basically have to wait for a patch to be able to get the most ideal gear, unless, they're lucky enough. And I also have a feeling people are going to be like, but if you increase the anima, I mean, already you have the weekly quests where you can go and do a dungeon for 350 anima. That's not a lot. And a lot of people aren't even doing those for that. They are doing it for the rep, which also needs an increase. Do you see my problem here? None of this got tested. Come on, Blizzard. Like, we've had... You want to know why we're yelling at you for so much? Because you've had a higher standard than this for a lot of the other expansions. I can honestly say, I can tell you, there are flaws in Burning Crusade and in Wrath. There are. But the bottom line is that it feels overall like there's more thought put into them than there is in the Sanctum system in Shadowlands. A lot of this just feels like a piddling, you must have WoW as a day job kind of activity. And some of us actually have day jobs. Can you please fix it? Can you start listening to your fucking audience and start fixing these problems? And no, I know that a lot of people are going to bring up that Blizzard already did an improvement, which was an increase in the piddling amount of anima that you're giving. Yeah, F you on that, Blizzard. And F you to all the people who think that's better than nothing. No, fix it better. We know you can fix it better, Blizz. I know you can fix it better than this, so get to it.